Hello and welcome to the latest Society for the Environment webinar. Today, we are focusing on the process of applying for Registered Environmental Technician registration, also referred to as REnvTech. This will be a whistle-stop tour and we'll let you know how to find out more details or point you in the direction of more specific guidance during the webinar. To start with, who are we? I'm Phil Underwood, officially the Society's Engagement Manager, and I'm joined today by Jeff Atkins, who is our Head of License Delivery and Quality. Our aim today is to shine a spotlight on the key standard processes involved in reaching your REnvTech goal, then answer as many questions as we can towards the end. For those watching the webinar as a recording, or if you need to leave before the Q&A section, please feel free to contact me or Jeff with any questions that you have using the email addresses on your screen. We're now going to turn our cameras off to avoid our heads getting in the way of our beautiful slides, but we'll be back for the Q&A later on. Okay, so before we delve into the world of REnvTech registration, I'll give a bit of I'll give a background to the Society for the Environment just to help understanding and to give an idea of why we exist. And our core role is to hold the register for competent environmental professionals who have met and continue to meet a level of competence in their environmental work and their overall professionalism. There are currently just over 8,000 registered environmental professionals. They are known as our registrants. I say currently because once you are all achieving the REnvTech after this webinar, numbers will continue to grow. And we do all this in partnership with 26 professional bodies, which will become apparent later on. This is our vision and why we do it. So the sentence on your screen is a bit long-winded, but essentially through our Royal Charter, we exist to champion sustainability through environmental professionalism. We believe that proven, competent environmental professionals across all sectors are key to a sustainable future. So put simply, we want the decisions that impact the environment to be made by those with externally verified, peer-reviewed competence, whether at technician, practitioner, or chartered level. So speaking of those levels, these are the three different professional registrations that we regulate. We've got the registered environmental technician, registered environmental practitioner, and chartered environmentalist. These registrations are positioned in a progressional way. Some will therefore use REnvTech as a demonstration of a solid commitment to being on that progression ladder towards practitioner or chartership level, as an example. But having said that, REnvTech or RFP might be the competence level for you, with CMs being unrealistic, at least for now, and that is perfectly fine. Essentially, these are the global benchmarks for proficiency in environmental practice, ensuring that our collective workforce and businesses are equipped to tackle the environmental crisis we are facing. So the plan is, together, we can build a more sustainable future, and you are a part of this. That's whether you're a environmental engineer or a consultant or a flood risk advisor or a technical specialist. The list goes on. I'm going to continue the list. An environmental officer, a project coordinator, a soil scientist, a sheep professional, or anything remotely similar, you could join this very meaningful community who are on a mission. I'm glad I had that list in front of me. The key benefits that registrants stated in our 2021 survey, which is our latest survey, were increased credibility with clients and stakeholders, increased self-confidence, and increased career opportunity. Now, the credibility theme always comes out on top, and it is a huge benefit. With the REnvTech, RFP, or CM letters after your name, you are instantly telling people that you've been externally verified as a knowledgeable, up-to-date professional when it comes to environmental good practice, commitment, and technical ability. Employers also see benefits through proven staff competence that helps them to win work. It improves their brand, and it demonstrates that their staff are working on projects know what they're doing and are working to a professional code of conduct, which is very, very useful when it comes to trust from clients. The last word from me for now, achieving REnvTech will put you on par with a superhuman team of 8,000 environmental professionals from a vast range of sectors and roles and from across the world, all making evidence-based decisions with proven competence and professionalism. You'll be joining, or you'll be part of, a global community of professionals who have committed to use their expertise to address environmental challenges and progress any opportunities available. So the CEnV, REnvP, and REnvTech registrations, they bring you all together. And we think that's massively important to creating a more sustainable world. So we very much encourage you to join us on this journey. I'd like to now hand over to Jeff to run through the core of today's webinar. So thank you, Jeff, for joining us. I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Phil, for introducing me so well. Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to be focusing on REnvTech and how to become a registered environmental technician. There are 4 or 5 steps you need to take to become an REnvTech. Firstly, join one of our licensed professional bodies. Here are the names, logos of the 5 professional bodies we currently license to assess and register appropriately qualified and experienced individuals for REnvTech. You need to join the one most appropriate to your sector and speak to them about your plans to apply. Your professional body will provide you with an application pack to complete and submit for assessment. Apart from completing an application form, they may ask you to include your CV and CPD record in your submission. If they are satisfied with your application, you may be invited to attend an interview if your professional body believes it would be appropriate or it is an inseparable membership requirement, but it's not mandatory. Final step before you're registered is to sign our Code of Professional Conduct. Your professional body will tell you how they run their REnvTech assessment process and any associated fees. Right, the competencies. So when you apply for REnvTech registration, you are providing evidence that you meet all 11 REnvTech competencies. These are in 4 groups. A and B will focus on your sector and as such may be contextualized by your professional body. The C and D competencies are sometimes known as soft skills, but they are just as important as A and B. Please note competence D1, which is about doing CPD to maintain and enhance competence in area of practice. This is important in not just gaining, but retaining your REnvTech registration. A quick reminder of the 4 or 5 steps you'll need to take in your journey to registered environmental technician registration. Join and speak to one of our licensed professional bodies about your plans to apply. Complete and submit your application, possibly attend an interview, and sign the Code of Professional Conduct. The important thing to remember is your key contact throughout the application assessment process is your professional body.
Thank you very much, Jeff, as a whistle-stop tour. So picture the scenario. You've been successful in achieving your REnvTech goal. Let's have a look at what happens next. So firstly, your professional body will inform us of your successful application, which will trigger us to add you to the official register here at SocEnv. We will send your official REnvTech certificate to you in the post with an REnvTech badge, which you can hopefully wear with pride. We will add you to the online directory of registrants on our website, which you can use to prove your REnvTech status to clients. You can start to use the REnvTech logo, which just appeared on your screen, on your email signatures and add the REnvTech letters after your name on LinkedIn and on your CV and anywhere and everywhere you can possibly think of. And you've gone through the effort of gaining REnvTech registration, you're probably going to want to try and keep hold of it as well. So there are 3 key steps to be able to do this. For a start, you need to remain a member of one of our licensed professional bodies, which are those that were on the screen as logos a few moments ago. Now, you could remain a member of the professional body that you achieved your REnvTech with initially. So say you applied with the Institution of Environmental Sciences, you could stay with them as a member. Brilliant, nice and easy. Or you could transfer to another one of the other 4 options for whatever reason that might be, as long as you meet their membership requirements and so on. They're the 2 options really. The vast majority stay with their initial member body, but it's entirely up to you. As Jeff said a short while ago, the second point on this slide is important in not just gaining, but retaining your REnvTech registration. You will need to complete or continue to complete and record appropriate CPD activities each year with your chosen professional body. And finally, you should continue to pay the annual fee to your professional body to cover costs involved. And beyond these stages, you might want to consider registered environmental practitioner or chartered environmentalist registration, but that's not necessarily something you need to think about straight away. We're going to finish off the presentation with some quickfire Q&As based on things that we see quite often come up as barriers to applying, and we're going to take it in turns for a bit of fun. So the first question being, can I be an IEng, which is an incorporated engineer, and an REnvTech? The simple answer is yes, you can. So you're a highly competent engineer, which is demonstrable with either CEng, so chartered engineer, or IEng, which is incorporated engineer. That's absolutely the right thing to do. But beyond your clearly excellent core engineering work, your wider environmental knowledge can then be showcased with an environmental registration, such as REnvTech, if you wanted to. You won't be alone in doing that. There are plenty of engineering professionals with an environmental registration as well. And it's worth noting that if you already have CEng or IEng, you don't need to necessarily rewrite your entire competency application for REnvTech, because some of the competencies cross over or are very similar, especially those C and D competencies. And the same applies to chartered scientists or registered scientists and various other registrations and memberships like that. Over to Jeff for the next question.
Okay, so how long does the application process take? And it's a very good answer. It depends. It depends on a few things. It could be really straightforward that you complete your application pack, send it to your professional body, they assess it, it gets passed on to their membership committee who say, yeah, fine, register them. It could take a few weeks. It's unlikely, but it could do. I would suggest that unless, I mean, there is the situation where your professional body might have windows where they expect you to make your registration by, and they might have 2 or 3 of those a year. So if you apply at the beginning of that registration window or that application window, then you might find it takes a little bit longer. But generally speaking, for REnvTech, because there's no absolute requirement for an interview, it should be a fairly straightforward process of 2 or 3 months, roughly, generally.
Okay. Third question is, do I need to meet all of the REnvTech competencies? And again, the simple answer to that is yes. I think Jeff mentioned it during the presentation. You do need to meet all of those competencies, but you don't necessarily need to use a completely different project or a completely different piece of work for each competence. You can hit multiple at a time. So don't make things more complicated than they need to be. You can, if you have a reasonably decent sized project that incorporates lots of different elements and you can showcase different competencies through that, then that is absolutely acceptable. over to Jeff for the fourth question.
I don't have any qualifications. Can I still be an REnvTech? Yes. Yes, you certainly still have the opportunity. Uh, the level of knowledge, understanding and skills should be equivalent to a level 3 qualification. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a level 3 qualification. If you can show through your experience that you are working at that level, that you've got that knowledge, understanding and skills, then it could be that your professional body is fine with that and accepts that you've got that equivalent level of knowledge and you won't need any particular qualifications. That said, it would be easier if you did have a level 3 qualification, as that would just immediately tick that box. So yes, you could still apply for REnvTech without having any qualifications.
Yeah, there are different routes. There is a level of flexibility. There is
Well,
flexibility in terms of accessibility as well. So these are all things worth
absolutely,
considering.
absolutely.
Best thing to do, which we'll say quite a lot today, is to speak to your licensed member body, so your professional body, see if they are able to help you in any way, if you need any assistance or if you have any questions around the eligibility criteria, or accessibility of it, through whether, for example, if you're not particularly keen on writing your competency review, then speak to your licensed member. There might be a different way around that, such as the interview. So let's move on. So it's time for the Q&A. Once again, if you're watching on the recording, or if you need to leave early, please feel free to contact us with any questions via the email addresses on your screen. I'll leave them on there for a moment before we head into the Q&A. Brilliant. So we have had some questions in. If you remember, when you registered for the webinar, we had some questions in. Well, we asked you if you had any questions for us during that registration process, and we had a few from there. So we're probably going to start from that point. And I have seen a question come in as well live from the webinar, so bear with me. First question from the registration is the process open for those who are now line managers of technicians? My initial response would be, I don't see why not. But I'll ask Jeff as well.
Yes, yes, it's open to anybody that meets the eligibility criteria. That's the main thing. So I mean, it might be that if you are a supervisor, manager, it might be that you're better suited for registered environmental practitioner, but that doesn't necessarily follow. And REnvTech, and what better way to help influence, motivate your colleagues that report to you by getting the registration.
Absolutely. And if you're line managing a group of 10 registered environmental technicians, if you didn't have registered environmental technician or registered environmental practitioner, that might be something to consider, I would suggest.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the question that's been asked live, because they've asked it live, so it'd be nice to address that. Do the CPD activities have to be delivered by the professional body, or can they be delivered and recorded within the employer training? I'll hand over to Jeff for that one.
No and yes. They don't have to be delivered by the professional body. The professional body should. We encourage them to put on a variety of CPD activities that somebody could use and somebody could do, but it's not the only source for good CPD activity, and they could definitely be part of employer training course that you've done at work. The scope for CPD and what is good CPD is vast.
Yeah, your professional body is a good place to start.
Yes.
You may well be you might be a member of a number of professional bodies, and there's no reason why you can't use CPD opportunities across those professional bodies. But you could also gain CPD opportunities from huge amounts of places, including the Society for the Environment from time to time. So
Well, there's also stuff that it doesn't really have to be paid. It could be, voluntary stuff that you do
yep,
that shows that you've learnt new stuff, or you're keeping your skills up to date by doing non-paid work.
yeah, plenty of opportunities around now.
Exactly.
Okay, the key thing is to keep track of that CPD and have a record and be able to submit
The,
that.
absolutely. Keep a log, keep a note of everything that you do, any activity, and then reflect on that and decide whether or not that should be included in your CPD log.
Yeah. CPD is a huge part of professional registration. For example, some people say, I've got my degree in environmental sciences. Doesn't that cover it? Well, kind of. That's a good starting point. That's a snapshot in time of the world of environmental sciences. But if that degree was achieved 20 years ago, how much of that is still relevant? How do you show that you've continued to develop? How do you show that you're still up to date? And that's where CPD records come into it. And that's why it's a requirement for you to have CPD records to continue as an RFTech or an RFP or a chartered environmentalist. So that's a huge part of being a registered environmental professional. And the same thing goes for engineers and scientists and way beyond. So hopefully that helps. Next question that's coming live is, now this is an interesting one. How easy is it to go from registered environmental technician to chartership? Now, I wouldn't suggest it's necessarily created to be easy. It potentially the thing to look at is the eligibility criteria for a start, which Jeff could
Yeah,
probably cover.
the big difference is that you're for REnvTech, you're looking at sort of a level 3 academic achievement, academic level, whereas with CM, so Chartered Environmentalist, you're looking at level 7. So you're looking at master's degree, and that's a big difference. But it doesn't mean that it can't be achieved, because the same thing as I said about the answering that question about do you need qualifications, you with a good amount of experience could well satisfy the eligibility criteria for CM by having that experience and showing that you've got the knowledge, skills, and understanding, and you're working at master's level. So it's probably, I mean, easy, maybe the wrong word. I wouldn't say it was easy, but it's certainly achievable. And it might just take you with REnvTech, you're really looking for around 2 years practical experience. With CM, you're looking for around 4. So it might just take you from when you get your REnvTech registration, another 2 years or so experience of different things. So in doing your CPD, you might well gain that experience
Yeah.
that meets the criteria for chartership.
It's probably worth noting that it's not just a experience timeline thing. It depends on the level of experience that you're gaining within those 2 years between REnvTech and CM. You
Yeah.
need to be meeting the criteria. It is worth noting as well that you may have watched the CM and the RFP version of this webinar over the last few weeks, and you may notice that the competencies are pretty much exactly the same. But if you look into a little bit more, you'll see that they are just the headline competencies. Within that, there are some more guidance notes really on the level of at which you need to meet those competencies. So that's where it varies. So you'll be able to find those through your application packs and align yourself and your experience and your knowledge to those more contextualized parts of the competencies.
Mm.
That sound about correct?
Yes.
Excellent. We have another question come in here. On the qualifications note, I have a level 7 qualification, but not enough experience, so under 4 years in the sector. What is the best route to take? REnvTech or CM? Well, that's an interesting one. Now,
Sorry, I'll jump in there because
okay.
I think you kind of answered the question in the question. If you've got under 4 years experience, it's unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely that you'll meet the CM eligibility criteria. The level 7 qualification tick that academic box, but not the under 4 years. It's probably more likely that REnvTech would suit, but then there is also REnv. So I'll throw that into the mix as well.
Depends how far into the 4 years you've had. So if it's kind of 2 or 3 years, and you might be eligible for the registered environmental practitioner with a level 7 qualification. It just depends on the level of your experience as well. So
But
that can vary.
yeah, and of course, the best way to find out if you have got enough experience, if you have got the right qualifications, the right academic levels, is speak to one of the licensed professional bodies. And yeah, I mean, we said we've got 26. There's those 5 that do REnvTech, but everybody else does chartered environmentalists. So you could move on to another professional body, speak to them and find out from them if you could do CM.
Yeah. Have a look on our
Certainly
website.
worth a conversation.
Have a look on our website and go to the licensed professional body page, licensed member page, and have a look through the list of professional bodies that are on there. They all, like Jeff said, they all offer chartered environmentalist registration. Think around 10 of them offer registered environmental practitioner,
It
but
is, yeah, yeah.
but only 5 offer registered environmental technician. So by going for registered environmental practitioner, you might be going with a professional body who is more aligned with your area of work. You never know. So these are all things to consider, but there's a few kind of areas for you to have a look at there. Okay, next question that's come in. How can I improve my CV in order to be more attractive to the companies and societies for which I apply as a marine biologist and environmental consultant? Do you provide services for CVs? No, we don't. Some of our professional bodies, I believe, do. So again,
Yeah.
it'd be worth speaking to them. I don't know if you are already a member of a professional body. Maybe have a look at who they are and see if any of those professional bodies align with your work, and they might be a better place for that. But it's not a service that we offer in terms of CV support. Submitting a CV as part of your application to become a REnvTech, RFP, or CM, that's a kind of a fairly normal standard thing to be doing, but we don't offer support on how to write that CV, unfortunately.
I would speak to the professional body, speak to your professional body, because they will be able to answer that question so much
Yeah.
better than we can.
And I think we're veering off the questions around professional registration at this stage. But the next question is, are there any roles or careers advertised directly by IES, so the Institution of Environmental Sciences, or by its associated bodies? And I think there might be a bit of confusion there because we're not the IES. We are the Society for the Environment. And we have associated bodies in a way, being our professional bodies. So do we advertise careers? Yes. If you go onto the careers section of our website, you'll be able to find some there. Do the professional bodies that sit within the Society for the Environment network offer career opportunities and advertise them? Yes, they do. So again, go on our website. You'll be able to find the careers section. You'll also be able to find the licensed member section and visit all their websites, depending on which ones are relevant to you, and be able to find their career sections on their website. So they're good places to start to look for careers in the environmental world.
Absolutely.
Keep the questions coming in, but I'm going to go back to the questions that came in during the registration process for now, if I can. One of the questions is there a prerequisite for this category? I assume that means are there standard things you need to have to get REnvTech registration? I think Jeff probably covered those already in terms of the career or level of experience that are at least 2 years, that kind of thing, and the level 3 qualification or above. Anything else to add to that, Jeff?
No, no. I mean, it's the eligibility criteria that we described.
Yeah.
So join a professional body that we license, speak to them about it, and do all that, and check with them whether you've got the right level of experience and
Yeah.
academic level.
Okay. Is there a roadmap for becoming a chartered environmentalist? So I assume that means from registered environmental technician to chartered environmentalist. There is no roadmap as such, but the recent standards review, which reviewed the kind of the competency levels and so on for all 3 of our registrations, part of that standards review was to better align the registrations so there is a clearer progressional pathway. Is that right, Jeff?
Yeah, yeah. The language is now similar, so it's not. We as we said before, I think, well, you definitely said before, those 3 registrations are as much standalone and good in their own right as something that you can progress. So that progression from one to the other to another, and as you progress in your career, that might be the way to go. Actually, how that would work in practice is something that your professional body would be able to advise you on. So it's sort of running alongside your sort of career plan. What I mean, how should I? What can I do? So it's the answer to a lot of these questions is you'll get guidance from the professional body.
Yep. Another question was the IES, which is the Institution of Environmental Sciences, offer REnvTech to members. Is this the same as the SOCENV REnvTech? Now, the simple answer to that is yes, it's exactly the same. So the Society for the Environment look after the 3 registrations, REnvTech, RFP, CM, and we license other professional bodies, including the Institution of Environmental Sciences, to award those registrations. So the IES REnvTech is the SOCENV REnvTech. Hopefully that makes sense. It's exactly the same. You can't apply for REnvTech through Society of the Environment. You can through the IES and the other 4 professional bodies that were on your screen a few moments ago. So hopefully that clears that one up. Next one is, if my professional body doesn't offer REnvTech, or sorry, what if my professional body doesn't offer REnvTech? What can I do? I'll hand that on to Jeff.
Speak to your professional body, who is known to us, presumably licensed for chartered environmentalists, but not for REnvTech, maybe, and say, could you get a license for REnvTech, please, so I can get my REnvTech registration through you. So that's the way forward. It's either that or you consider joining one of the professional bodies that we do license for REnvTech.
Yeah, one of those options. Okay, and the only other question we had here is, I think another question's coming on live, but I'll go for this one first. Which prior qualifications are in line with REnvTech? Now, my answer to this would be that there aren't necessarily qualifications that are strictly aligned with REnvTech. There are a multitude of different qualifications out there that would align, and to list them would be a long task. There are no specifics, but there will be plenty of qualifications out there and courses and so on, which you'll be able to add to your REnvTech REnvTech application to gain the registration.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right, Jeff?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, next question is an interesting one. I'll read it, but I don't know if we have an answer. How can there be a better cohesion between medical sciences and environmental sciences, given the increasing evidence of the effect of environmental issues like air pollution resulting in health issues such as dementia? That is a very good question, and it's not something that we're able to answer on this webinar. The webinar is more focused on how to become a registered environmental technician rather than the technical side of environmental issues that are abundant across the world at the moment. One thing I would suggest, though, is if you want to discuss those kind of issues and those topics, a good place to be would be within the environmental professional registered environmental professional community. So you'll be able to talk to like-minded people on our, whether it's on our LinkedIn group or whether it's on a future technical group that we can set up to discuss that very topic. It's joining the Society of Environment in terms of being a registrant is a good way to start that conversation and to talk to other professionals who are considering those things. Okay.
And have a conversation with IES.
Yes. Yes, I don't know if this person is a member of the IES already, so the Institution of Environmental Sciences, but from what you said, given that you're talking about air pollution and so on, and environmental sciences, they would seem like the home for you, but they might not be. There are other options available. Okay. Okay, one of the questions is very similar possibly to one we've already answered. Is there an ideal course or field of study that satisfies the level 3 qualification? No. Well, are there any ideal courses? Yes. Is there a specific course? No. There are probably many courses out there. I say probably. There are many courses out there that could meet a good degree of the environmental technician requirements.
Yes, I think I could say, oh yeah, we're going to a NVQ level 3, or have you got a higher national diploma, or have you got? But the thing is, we're just talking about sort of general qualifications and levels. Specifically, specific information about the ideal course or field of study would be given to you by your professional body, because they know what courses, fields of study, qualifications, etc., are appropriate to your sector. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, so one of the key things to consider is the breadth of environmental professionals out there. So we have the 26 licensed professional bodies, 5 of which offer the REnvTech registration. So that makes it very difficult for us to suggest a particular qualification that would meet the requirements for the 8,000 individuals who have gone through the process, because the environmental considerations for somebody working in the water sector, maybe they're registering through the Institute of Water, for example, might be quite different to those if you're registering through the Nuclear Institute or through the Institution of Environmental Sciences or the Arbor Association or whoever. So it's difficult for us to be quite specific about that, but that's good, and I hope that's good because of the level of flexibility and the level at which you can contextualize your application to your sector. That's hopefully very useful for you as an applicant to utilize the qualifications in your sector that are linked to your work, and you'll be able to use that to be successful in your application, essentially. If we ask you to do one particular course, that might not be relevant for everyone. So hopefully that's useful. But for now, thank you very much for listening and taking part in today's webinar. And thank you to Jeff for your insights. If you're watching on the YouTube recording, please subscribe to our channel to gain notifications of new videos and webinar recordings and so on. And please hit that like button. That would be fantastic. If you're watching on our website, please click on the YouTube logo in the bottom right to get to the area where you can subscribe and like. And we will see you in the next webinar. Thank you very much for watching and good luck with your REnvTech applications. Thank you very much.